Between the rolling hills and quiet villas of Buckinghamshire, the past never truly rests. Old houses remember, secrets linger, and when night falls, the dead are said to walk once more. Hughenden Manor, tucked among the wooded hills above High Wycombe, Hughenden Manor looks out across the valley with a quiet, watchful dignity. Its red brick walls glow softly at dusk, while the surrounding gardens fall unnaturally still, as though the land itself is listening. This was once the private home of one of Britain's most powerful men, and many believe he never truly left. Benjamin Disraeli, favorite Prime Minister of Queen Victoria, lived and died within these walls. He filled the house with books, letters, and the faint scent of fine tobacco. Though the manor now stands preserved as a museum, visitors often sense a presence that feels thoughtful, deliberate, unfinished. The spirit of Disraeli is most often seen near the grand staircase. Witnesses describe a tall figure, sharply dressed, appearing only for a moment before fading like a thought half-formed. In one hand, he carries papers neatly held, as if still burdened by affairs of state. His movements are calm and precise, unmistakably purposeful, as though he walks with intention, even beyond death. More rarely, he appears in the main hall standing silently near his portrait. Some claim he seems to study the painting in deep concentration, as though judging whether it captured the man he truly was or merely the version history chose to remember. In his old study, the atmosphere sometimes changes without warning. A deep masculine cologne drifts through the room, lingering for seconds before vanishing completely. Staff working late have reported the soft rustle of turning pages even when no one else is present. One curator recalled hearing footsteps cross the floor behind her chair. When she turned, the room was empty, yet the scent of perfume hung heavily in the air as if someone had only just departed. Beyond the manor itself, another presence is said to roam the wooded grounds. A young woman, pale and silent, glimpsed between the trees at dusk. Her story is unknown, but her presence carries a quiet sadness that seems bound to the estate, moving where the light fades first. By day, Hughenden Manor stands as a monument to power, intellect, and legacy. Yet when night falls, the past stirs gently through its corridors, and Benjamin Disraeli may still walk these rooms, pondering matters no living voice can now resolve. Dashwood Mausoleum, high above the quiet village of West Wycombe, where the wind moves slowly through the beech trees and the land seems permanently hushed, stands the Dashwood Mausoleum. A ring of ancient stone columns crowns the hill, open to the sky, watching silently over the valley below. It was built in the 18th century by Sir Francis Dashwood, founder of the notorious Hellfire Club. Time has weathered the stone, softening its edges, but the place has never lost its sense of unease. Inside the circular structure stand several burial urns holding the remains of the Dashwood family and their associates. Yet one name is spoken more softly than the rest. Paul Whitehead. Paul Whitehead was a poet, a satirist, and one of the earliest members of the Hellfire Club. When he died, his body was buried elsewhere, but at his own request, his heart was sealed inside an urn and placed here within the Dashwood vault. For decades, it remained undisturbed, resting among stone and silence. Then, sometime in the 19th century, the urn was opened. The heart was stolen. After that, the sightings began. Locals speak of a tall grey figure wandering the hillside at dusk. He moves slowly, drifting between the trees, or standing motionless at the entrance of the mausoleum, as though waiting for something that will never return. Those who approach say the air grows unnaturally still, heavy with pressure, and the sound of the wind fades away, leaving only breath and unease. One groundskeeper told of seeing a man step from the shadows just after sunset. He appeared solid, almost courteous, and inclined his head slightly before dissolving into nothing. The next morning, frost covered the hill, yet the grass where the figure had stood remained strangely warm. On rare nights, when the air is completely calm, a faint sound has been reported within the stone circle. Not a voice, not footsteps, but a slow, steady rhythm, like a heartbeat, echoing softly against stone. Many believe it is Paul Whitehead searching endlessly for what was taken from him. A soul divided, a rest denied. By day, the Dashwood Mausoleum is a curious landmark. By night, it becomes something else entirely, a place where memory walks and the past still waits, listening. Church of St. Lawrence. At the very top of West Wycombe Hill, where the road narrows and the sky feels closer to the earth, stands the Church of St. Lawrence. Its pale stone walls rise from the mist, crowned by a golden ball that glints faintly even on the darkest evenings. From here, the valley stretches far below, quiet, distant, and watchful, as though the land itself looks back. This church was closely tied to Lord Francis Dashwood, founder of the Hellfire Club. In the 18th century, beneath the outward appearance of faith and refinement, Dashwood and his companions gathered here in secrecy. What began as aristocratic rebellion soon turned into ritual indulgence and deliberate mockery of sacred tradition. The church was never meant to sleep. Beneath the altar lies a hidden network of tunnels said to connect directly to the Hellfire caves below. These passages once carried candlelight, whispered vows, and laughter long after the doors above were closed. Though sealed now, many believe their influence never faded. The hill itself seems to remember what moved beneath it. On certain nights, witnesses claim to see a rider ascending the narrow road. A tall figure sits astride a dark horse, his cloak unmoving in the wind. The horse makes no sound upon the stone path. As the rider reaches the church gates, both man and beast dissolve into the air, leaving only silence and the scent of cold stone. It is said to be Lord Dashwood himself. Others report strange lights glowing inside the golden ball atop the tower, flickering softly as though a gathering still continues within. The scent of wine has been detected inside the church when no service has taken place. Doors found locked are later discovered standing open, cold air spilling quietly into the nave. One villager described hearing laughter drift down the hill late at night. Not joyful laughter, but low, knowing, and deliberate, carried on air that felt heavy and wrong. When he looked back, the church stood dark and unmoving. By day, the Church of St. Lawrence appears peaceful, a place of worship and breathtaking views. But when night settles over West Wycombe Hill, the stones remember what was asked of them. And somewhere between heaven and earth, the past still rides upward, answering no prayer at all. West Wycombe House. Hidden within rolling parkland at the foot of West Wycombe Hill stands West Wycombe House. From a distance, its pale stone columns and perfect symmetry suggest elegance, order, and control. By daylight, the house appears calm and composed, but step closer and the atmosphere shifts as though the building itself is listening. This was the heart of the Dashwood estate, a place of wealth, influence, and carefully concealed pleasure. While the church crowned the hill above, in the language of faith, this house entertained the body and the mind below. Music, candlelight, and forbidden gatherings once filled its rooms, blurring the line between refinement and indulgence. The most restless presence is found in the music room. Late at night, when the house should be silent, soft melodies drift through the corridor. Not loud, not complete. Just a few notes repeated again and again as if someone is trying and failing to remember how the tune once ended. Visitors describe the sound as fragile, almost hesitant, like hands pressing keys that no longer exist. The spirit believed to play is a woman in fine silk, thought to be the mother of Lord Dashwood. She appears calm, dignified and distant, untouched by fear or regret. Some see her standing beside the instrument. Others glimpse her reflection in the tall mirrors, smiling faintly before fading away. When she appears, the air grows colder, curtains stir without wind, and candles flicker as though disturbed by passing movement. But she is not alone. On the lower floor, a monk has been seen walking slowly through the halls. He wears a dark robe and carries an expression that is not solemn but amused. Witnesses say he smiles as he passes, as though sharing a private joke with the house itself. Many believe he is an echo of the Hellfire rituals, a deliberate mockery of faith given shape and movement. Staff speak in hushed tones of quiet laughter in empty rooms, of doors opening gently without force, of the constant sense that they are never truly alone, even in broad daylight. By day, West Wycombe House is graceful and still, but by night it remembers. Here, pleasure and penance once danced together. And when the music begins again, the past rises quietly to take the floor. Wycombe Museum. On a quiet rise above High Wycombe stands the Wycombe Museum. From the outside, it feels modest, calm, almost forgettable. Its brick walls offer no warning, no drama. Yet inside the past does not rest quietly. It watches. Before it became a museum, this building was a private house. Generations passed through its rooms. Servants worked its fires. Children ran its halls. Lives unfolded here in ordinary ways. And when those lives ended, not all of them left. The most often seen spirit is a young serving girl. Witnesses describe her moving along the outer bank of the Old Bailey. Her steps light, her posture familiar, as though repeating a task once performed every day. She walks toward Pre or E Avenue, head slightly bowed, hands held close. Then mid-step, she fades into nothing. Those who see her report, no fear, only a deep, quiet sadness that lingers long after she is gone. Inside the museum, the atmosphere changes after sunset. Staff working alone on the upper floor report sudden drops in temperature. Not gradual, instant. Breath turns visible. Skin tightens. The cold does not fill the room, it moves through it, following rather than settling, as though something unseen passes close by. Footsteps echo where no one walks. Floorboards creak beneath invisible weight. One caretaker spoke of hearing a woman sigh softly behind her ear. When she turned, there was only silence, and the unmistakable sense of being observed. In the garden, another figure has been seen. An elderly man, bent with age, tends flowers that no longer grow. He moves slowly, carefully, as if mindful of fragile stems. One visitor claimed he offered her a small bouquet, smiling gently before vanishing the moment she reached for it, leaving only empty air and the scent of earth. Objects shift without explanation. Display cases tremble. Doors are found standing open that were locked only minutes before. Yet nothing here feels violent. The spirits of the Wycombe Museum do not rage, they do not warn, they remember. By day, the museum preserves history. By night, it becomes part of it. And when the lights are turned off, someone always remains still walking, still tending, still waiting. Wycombe Swan Theatre. In the center of High Wycombe stands the Wycombe Swan Theatre. By day, it is bright and welcoming. Posters line the walls. Voices echo with laughter, rehearsal, and applause. But when the doors are locked and the lights are lowered, the theatre changes. Silence settles heavily here, not empty, but expectant. Beside the main auditorium lies the Oak Room, a space of tall pillars and polished floors, once used for gatherings and private events. Staff say this room is never truly empty. Late at night, a woman in Tudor clothing has been seen moving slowly between the pillars. Her dress trails softly across the floor, though no sound follows her steps. She appears pale and half-formed, like smoke held briefly in human shape. When approached, she vanishes. More unsettling are the signs she leaves behind. Tablecloths laid neatly in the evening are found crumpled on the floor by morning. Doors open without sound, then close with deliberate care. Lights switch on in empty rooms, glowing patiently until someone notices them. A stagehand once reported seeing a lone figure seated in the circle facing the stage as if watching a private performance. When he called out, the seat was suddenly empty, the air cold where someone had just been. The theatre itself seems aware. Footsteps echo above the stage when no one is working there, pacing slowly from wing to wing. The faint scent of old roses drifts through the corridors, strongest near the stage curtains. Mirrors cloud, suddenly reflecting vague shapes that dissolve the moment they are looked at, directly as if the building refuses to be seen clearly. Some believe the Tudor woman belonged to an earlier structure that once stood on this ground. Others think she is bound not to the building, but to performance itself, drawn to the energy of stories being told, unable to leave, while applause still exists in memory. One cleaner recalled locking up late when she heard slow clapping from the auditorium. 3 soft claps, measured, intentional, then silence. The seats were empty, the stage lights cold. By day, the Wycombe Swan celebrates live music and drama. But by night, beneath the exit signs and velvet curtains, another audience waits, unseen, patient, and forever watching for a curtain call that never comes. The Boot and Slipper. At a quiet crossroads in Amersham stands the Boot and Slipper, an old country inn, darkened by age and time. By day, it feels warm and familiar. Wooden beams, soft light, the comforting smell of ale and firewood. But when night settles and the last voices fade, something below begins to stir. The cellar is where it waits. Staff who descend the narrow steps after closing speak of the same sensation. A sudden cold, a tightening in the chest, and then a touch. Not a brush of air, not imagination, but a firm, unmistakable grip on the shoulder. Cold, human, intentional. The touch lasts only a moment, but it is enough. Almost always, it is followed by sound, low muttering, impatient, irritated, words that cannot quite be understood, spoken from just behind the ear. Bottles tremble on their shelves. Shadows stretch unnaturally, bending where no light moves. The cellar feels crowded, as though something unseen has stepped far too close. Those who turn around find nothing. Some believe the presence belongs to a former cellar worker, a man who spent his life below ground, tending barrels and stock, guarding what was stored beneath the inn. Others say it is far older, bound to the land itself, resentful of disturbance. Whatever it is, it does not welcome company. One former manager told of checking the cellar alone, late at night. Halfway down the steps, the temperature dropped so sharply, his breath fogged the air. Fingers tightened on his shoulder, gripping hard enough to stop him moving. Then came a muttered voice, frustrated and close enough to feel against his skin. He ran. Even hours later, the cold remained clinging to him long after he had left the building. Above ground, the pub is peaceful once more. Laughter returns. Glasses clink. Fires crackle. No sign of anything wrong. But below the floorboards, the unseen watcher remains pacing in the dark, guarding a cellar that never truly empties, and those who feel that hand say the same thing. It does not want you there. The Crown Hotel. On the old high street of Amersham stands the Crown Hotel, a timbered inn where history leans close and the past never quite checks out. By day, it feels refined and welcoming, soft carpets, polished wood, warm lamps glowing beneath low ceilings. But when night deepens and the corridors empty, the rooms begin to belong to someone else. Guests often wake suddenly here. Some feel a strange jolt, like a mild electric shock running through the bed frame. Others sense a presence standing close, watching from just beyond the edge of sight. And then very gently, the bed covers are pulled up around their shoulders, tucked in, carefully, with practiced attention, as if by a housekeeper who never stopped doing her duty. She is described as a Victorian woman, neatly dressed, posture upright, movements precise. Those who glimpse her see only her outline before she fades into the dark. She never speaks, she never lingers. She is said to appear most often to young men, leaving them shaken but unharmed, uncertain whether they were cared for or inspected. But she is not the only presence within the hotel. In certain rooms, particularly those added during later extensions, a woman's voice has been heard shouting clearly, "Get out now." The words are sharp, angry, commanding. Guests have fled these rooms in the middle of the night, leaving belongings behind, unwilling to return even in daylight. Downstairs, the bar grows uneasy after midnight. Bottles clink softly when no one is near. A tall figure has been seen leaning against one of the wooden posts, watching the room in silence as though waiting for service. When approached, he vanishes without sound, leaving the air colder where he stood. Staff believe as many as 7 spirits remain within the Crown. Servants, guests, travelers who never truly left. But it is the housekeeper who returns most often, bound not by anger or grief, but by routine, order, expectation. By morning, the hotel is calm once more, beds neatly made, corridors quiet, nothing out of place, except for the lingering sense that someone has already been there, making sure you are comfortable and watching you sleep. The Elephant and Castle, just along the old high street of Amersham, stands the Elephant and Castle, a public house steeped in age and quiet mischief. By day, it is cheerful and familiar, wooden tables, low beams, the comfortable hum of conversation. But when the doors close and the cellar lights are switched on, something else begins to move. The cellar is the heart of the haunting. Female staff members speak of an unsettling experience that begins without warning. A sudden brush against the hip, a sharp pinch, not accidental, not imagined. The touch is brief, yet intimate enough to steal the breath and leave the skin prickling. More than one worker has fled the cellar shaken, refusing to return alone. Almost always the touch is followed by sound, a low mutter, impatient, displeased, words too indistinct to understand, spoken from close behind. Bottles tremble softly on their racks. Shadows gather in corners where the light never quite settles. The presence feels playful yet intrusive, like an old regular who never learned when to leave or how to behave. Some believe the spirit was once a landlord. Others say he was a frequent drinker, fiercely attached to his favorite place below ground. Whatever the truth, his energy lingers in the cellar, bound to barrels and stone, resentful of disturbance, yet eager to remind others that he is still there. Upstairs, the atmosphere changes. In the kitchen of the flat, above the pub, a different figure has been seen. A woman dressed in black. Quiet. Purposeful. She moves slowly through the room, as if still tending a household long gone. Sometimes she pauses near the window, gazing down at the street below, before fading softly from view. Those who sense her presence describe a heaviness in the air. Not anger, not fear, just sorrow. A feeling of something unfinished, carried gently rather than forced. Together, these two spirits shape the character of the Elephant and Cassoul, one mischievous, one mournful, one lingering below, one watching from above. By daylight, the pub feels warm and alive. Laughter returns, glasses clink, nothing seems amiss. But when the lamps dim and silence settles, unseen hands still linger in the dark, waiting, watching, and reminding every visitor that not all patrons ever truly leave. Chenies Manor House. Hidden among quiet lanes and gentle fields lies Chenies Manor House, a Tudor home of deep red brick and carefully kept gardens. At first glance, it appears peaceful, orderly, almost untouched by time. But beneath its calm surface rests a secret that once disturbed the house so deeply it never truly recovered. In the 1970s, builders working inside the manor uncovered something unexpected. A concealed room hidden beside what is now known as the Pink Bedroom. The chamber was small, sealed, forgotten. Inside stood a simple altar, worn smooth by age. Scratched into the wall above it, rough and uneven, were two words and a date. 9 September. No record explains their meaning. No document mentions why the room was hidden or who last stood within it. Soon after the discovery, strange things began to happen. Doors that had been carefully closed were found standing open each morning. Not forced, not damaged, simply open as though left that way deliberately. Lights flickered without cause. The air grew suddenly cold, settling heavily in the corridors. And then witnesses began to see him, a heavy-set man in dark clothing, broad-shouldered, moving with a clear limp. He appears only briefly crossing a doorway, standing at the end of a corridor half-formed in shadow. He never speaks. He never turns his face. And then he is gone. Those who encounter him describe the same sensation, a sudden heaviness in the chest, a pressure that makes breathing difficult, and afterward, the faint smell of earth and candle wax, lingering long after he fades, as if the room itself remembers ritual. One caretaker locked both the Pink Bedroom and the hidden chamber late one night. The next morning, both doors stood wide open. The air inside was icy sharp against the skin, as though something had passed through only moments before. Some believe the figure was a priest, hiding during the Reformation. Others think he was a penitent, bound forever to the altar where he sought forgiveness. Whatever the truth, the house seems unable to keep him out. By day, Chenies Manor House welcomes visitors with sunlight and birdsong. But at night, when the halls fall silent, slow footsteps return. Doors open again, and something unseen continues its vigil, waiting for a date that never passed.